"Let me handle your pills this week, Porter," Melissa said with that sweet smile I'd grown to recognize. My daughter-in-law stood in my kitchen holding my weekly pill organizer like she actually cared. I nodded, watching her sort through my blood pressure medication and vitamins. Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Melissa had been extra helpful lately, which was strange for someone who usually treated me like furniture. 20 minutes after she left, my phone buzzed. A text from the pharmacy. "Your prescription has been refilled. Thank you for using Auto Refill Plus." My stomach dropped. I just picked up my medication 2 days ago. Why would she refill it early? I grabbed my laptop and logged into my insurance portal. My hands shook as I scrolled through recent activity. There it was. Someone had accessed my account yesterday at 3:47 p.m. At the same time, Melissa was here organizing my paperwork. But that wasn't the worst part. At the bottom of the screen, a new notification made my blood run cold. Recent policy updates. Life insurance beneficiary changes. Someone had taken out a life insurance policy on me. A big one. I called the insurance company the next morning. When the representative finally picked up, her cheerful voice made everything worse. "Yes, Mr. Whitmore, I see the policy here. It's a substantial amount, $500,000. Your son, Reese Whitmore, is listed as the primary applicant with Melissa Whitmore as co-beneficiary. My own son had put a price tag on my life." "When was this filed?" I asked. 3 weeks ago, sir. Both signatures are on file." I hung up and immediately called Reese. When he arrived an hour later, Melissa was with him. They sat across from me in my living room, looking like they were attending a business meeting. "The insurance policy," I said simply. "Explain it." Reese didn't even flinch. "It's just security, Dad, in case something happens to you." "You mean you want to make sure you're taken care of?" Melissa leaned forward. "Porter, you're 70 years old. You should be preparing for these things. We're just being responsible." The way she said it, like I was already dead, made my stomach turn. 3 days later, I overheard Melissa on the phone in the living room. She was speaking quietly, but my old house had thin walls. No, the baby thing worked perfectly," she was saying. "He sent the money right away. Men his age get so sentimental about grandchildren." I froze. "What baby?" "We'll keep up the act for a few more weeks, then say we lost it. He'll never ask for the money back. Too traumatic, you know." My mind raced back to 6 months ago. Melissa had told me she was pregnant. I'd been so excited about becoming a grandfather that I'd immediately transferred $30,000 to help them prepare for the baby. I crept closer to the doorway. The best part is, he never even asked for proof, just wrote the check like the old fool he is. There was never a baby. They'd scammed me out of $30,000 with a fake pregnancy. I backed away slowly, my hands shaking. How long had they been planning this? How long had they been lying to my face? But the insurance policy was different. That wasn't just about money. That was about me being gone. That night, I couldn't sleep. I checked my voicemail history on my phone. There, buried in my deleted messages, was something that made my blood freeze. It was Reese's voice, probably left by accident. "Once we get the house transfer finalized and the money comes through, we're done with the old man. This whole caring family act is getting exhausting." I sat in my dark kitchen, staring at my phone. My son, the boy I'd raised, taught to ride a bike, helped through college, was plotting my death. But I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to roll over and die for their convenience. I was going to plan. I spent the rest of the night making lists, checking accounts, and thinking through every detail. If they wanted to play games with my life, I'd show them what an old teacher could do. By sunrise, I had the beginning of a plan. And for the first time in months, I was smiling. The doorbell rang at exactly 10 a.m. the next Saturday. I opened it to find Reese and Melissa on my porch, both carrying overnight bags and wearing their biggest fake smiles. "Surprise, Dad," Reese said. "We thought we'd spend some time with you." Melissa held up a bag from the health food store. "I brought you some new vitamins, and I thought I could cook for you this week." Every alarm bell in my head was ringing, but I stepped aside and let them in. "That's wonderful. I've been feeling a little lonely lately." They settled into the guest room like they owned the place. Melissa immediately started rearranging my kitchen, organizing my medications, and asking about my daily routine. Reese kept walking around the house, measuring things with his eyes. "This place is getting too big for you, Dad," he said over dinner. "All these stairs, the big yard, maybe it's time to think about something smaller." I played along. "You think so? I've lived here for 40 years. "Exactly," Melissa chimed in. "You should be taking it easy, not worrying about maintenance and property taxes." I nodded thoughtfully. Maybe you're right. But I knew exactly what they were thinking about. 3 days into their visit, Reese brought up the house transfer. We were sitting on the back porch when he casually mentioned it. "You know, Dad, I was talking to a financial advisor about estate planning. He said it might be smart to put the house in my name now, for tax purposes." I sipped my coffee slowly. Tax purposes? Yeah, it could save thousands down the road, and if anything ever happened to you, there wouldn't be any legal complications. Melissa nodded enthusiastically. "It would take such a burden off your shoulders, Porter." I pretended to consider it. "That does sound easier. I hate dealing with bureaucratic nonsense." "Exactly," Reese leaned forward. "I could call the lawyer tomorrow." "That would be wonderful," I said. "You're such a good son, looking out for me like this." The words tasted like ash, but Reese beamed like he'd just won the lottery. What he didn't know was that I'd already called my own lawyer that morning. The house would stay in my name, no matter what papers they thought I was signing. That night, I pretended to go to bed early but crept back downstairs to listen. They were in the kitchen, speaking in hushed tones. "He's going for it," Reese was saying. "The house, everything. Once it's in our name, he's basically powerless." "And the insurance money is already set up," Melissa replied. "We just need to be patient a little longer." I heard the clink of glasses. They were toasting with my good wine. "How long do you think?" Melissa asked. "Not long. Did you see how winded he got going up the stairs today? We just need to help it along a little." Melissa laughed. "Don't forget to keep up with the high-sodium meals and maybe suggest some more strenuous activities." "Oh, I have some ideas about that," Reese said. "Remember that hiking trail up at Bear Hollow Ridge? The one with all those cliffs?" My hand tightened on the banister. They weren't just waiting for me to die naturally. They were planning to help it happen. I crept back upstairs, my mind racing. I had more evidence now, but I needed to be smart about this. But I wasn't afraid. I was angry. And anger was much more useful than fear. I woke up the next morning to silence. Usually Benny would be scratching at my bedroom door, ready for his morning walk, but there was nothing. I called for him as I came downstairs. "Benny?" "Here, boy." Melissa was in the kitchen, making coffee like nothing was wrong. "Oh, Benny? He got out last night. I think maybe you forgot to lock the back door properly." My heart started pounding. Benny never ran away. In 8 years, he'd never even tried to leave the yard. "Are you sure? He wouldn't just—" "Dogs do strange things sometimes," Reese said, appearing from the living room. "He'll come back when he's hungry." I checked my security camera footage on my phone. There it was, clear as day. Reese opening the back door at 3:17 a.m. and coaxing Benny outside. 2 hours later, my neighbor called. They'd found Benny on Highway 34, about 5 miles from the house. The vet said it looked like he'd been hit by a car. I hung up and stood in my kitchen. Melissa came over and put her hand on my shoulder. "I'm so sorry, Porter. These things happen with older dogs." Benny was 6 years old. Not old for a golden retriever, and he'd been perfectly healthy yesterday. I didn't cry in front of them. But that night, alone in my room, I grieved for my loyal friend and hardened my heart against the monsters sleeping down the hall. Melissa started cooking for me the next day. Big, hearty meals that she claimed would keep my strength up during this difficult time. Thick stews loaded with salt, casseroles swimming in butter, breakfast plates piled high with bacon and sausage. "You need to eat," she'd say, watching me carefully. "You're looking too thin." I played along, making appreciative noises and cleaning my plate while they watched. What they didn't see was me wrapping portions in napkins and disposing of them later. Sometimes I saved small samples in containers hidden in my room. After 3 days, I drove to the medical lab downtown while they thought I was grocery shopping. "I need these food samples tested," I told the technician. "Check for toxins, drugs, anything unusual." The results came back 2 days later. No poison, no drugs. but every single sample was loaded with sodium, cholesterol, and enough calories to trigger heart problems in someone my age. They weren't trying to poison me quickly. They were trying to create a slow decline, something that would look natural when the insurance company investigated. Smart, but not smart enough. I started cooking my own meals again, claiming I wanted to contribute to the household. I made healthy portions for myself and saved their salt-loaded leftovers. Melissa was getting frustrated. I could see it in the way she watched me, like she was calculating something that wasn't adding up. "You seem to have more energy lately," she observed one morning. What she meant was, "Why aren't you getting sicker?" Reese was more direct. "Maybe we should get you checked out by a doctor, Dad." "I feel fine," I said truthfully. "But at your age, you never know. Silent heart problems, high blood pressure, these things can sneak up on you." That evening, I overheard them in the guest room. "He should be showing signs by now," the taut Melissa was saying. "The sodium intake alone should have affected his blood pressure." "Maybe we need to try something else," Reese replied. "Something more direct." "Like what?" "Remember that hiking trail I mentioned? Accidents happen in the woods all the time." I heard the sound of something being unzipped. "I already bought him hiking boots," Reese continued. "Told the store clerk they were a surprise gift for my adventurous father." They'd bought me hiking boots without my knowledge, planning my own death down to the footwear. But I wasn't going hiking with them. At least, not the kind of hiking they had in mind. The next morning, Reese presented me with the hiking boots like it was Christmas morning. "I thought we could take a trip together," he said. "Just us guys. Maybe that trail up at Bear Hollow Ridge. You always used to talk about wanting to see more of the state." I'd never mentioned wanting to hike Bear Hollow Ridge, but I acted delighted. What a thoughtful gift, though I haven't hiked in years. "That's okay, Dad. It's not a difficult trail, very scenic." Melissa clapped her hands together. "Oh, I love that idea. When were you thinking?" "This weekend," Reese said. "The weather's supposed to be perfect." I tried on the boots. They fit perfectly, too perfectly. How long had he been planning this? "They're wonderful," I said. "I can't wait." And I couldn't wait, because while they were planning my accident, I was planning something much better. I spent the afternoon researching Bear Hollow Ridge online. Remote location, steep cliffs, poor cell phone reception. The perfect place for an accident that no one would witness. Or so they thought. While Melissa and Reese were out shopping, I took a drive to my lawyer's office. Margaret Chen had been handling my legal affairs for 15 years. "You want to sign a fake transfer document?" she asked. "Something that looks official, but has no legal standing." I told her everything. The insurance policy, the fake pregnancy scam, Benny, the high-sodium meals, the hiking trip plan. Her expression grew darker with each detail. "We need to call the police," she said. "Not yet. I need more evidence, and I need them to think they're winning." She reluctantly agreed to draft a fake transfer document, one that would be obviously invalid to any real lawyer, but might fool my son and his wife. When I got home, Melissa had redecorated my living room. She'd moved furniture, hung new curtains, and replaced my old family photos with modern art pieces. "I hope you don't mind," she said. "I thought the place could use some updating." She was already acting like she owned the house. Perfect. I handed Reese the fake transfer document that evening. His eyes lit up as he scanned the papers. What he didn't notice was the tiny print at the bottom that read, "This document is not legally binding." My neighbor Tom Henderson had been a real estate paralegal before he retired. When I knocked on his door Thursday evening, he welcomed me in with a concerned expression. I explained the situation. Tom listened with growing alarm. "They can't just transfer your house without proper legal procedures," he assured me. "But if they're being this aggressive, we need to lock everything down." We spent the next 2 hours securing my assets. Tom helped me set up additional protections on my bank accounts and contacted the county recorder's office to flag any unauthorized transfer attempts. The next morning, I got a call from Tom. "Porter, you need to know something. Someone matching your son's description has been shopping around, asking about refinancing your house. They'd been planning to mortgage my home behind my back." "How much were they trying to borrow?" I asked. "The full value. Around $400,000. My hands started shaking. They weren't just planning to kill me. They were planning to steal everything I owned first. Friday morning, Reese announced it was time to pack for our adventure. He laid out camping gear on my kitchen table: tent, sleeping bags, portable stove, first aid kit. "This is going to be great, Dad. Just you and me in the wilderness." Melissa kissed both our cheeks. "You boys have fun. I'll hold down the fort here." I noticed she didn't pack any bags. She was planning to stay here, in what she thought was now her house, waiting for the phone call that would make her a wealthy widow. I packed my own bag carefully. Clean clothes, my regular medications, energy bars, and a few special items they didn't know about. A small GPS tracker, a voice recorder, and a satellite communicator I'd borrowed from Tom. "Ready for some father-son bonding?" Reese asked as we loaded the car. "I wouldn't miss it," I replied. As we drove away, I saw Melissa waving from my front window. She was already making herself at home. But when I came back, there were going to be some changes. The drive to Bear Hollow Ridge took 2 hours. Reese chatted the whole way about how much he'd missed spending time with me, how important family was. Every word was like a knife, because I knew what he was really thinking. We parked at the trailhead around noon. The parking area was empty. No other hikers, no park rangers, no witnesses. Reese had chosen his timing well. The trail started easy enough, winding through dense forest. But I knew from my research that it got more challenging as it approached the ridge, and more dangerous. "You holding up okay, Dad?" Reese asked after the first mile. "Just fine, though I might need to rest soon." Of course, we're not in any hurry. But I could see the tension in his shoulders. He was in a hurry. He just didn't want me to know it. When we reached a particularly steep section, I pretended to stumble slightly. Reese was instantly at my side. "Careful there, these trails can be tricky." Yes, I thought, very tricky indeed. 2 miles in, we reached a rest area with a spectacular view. I sat down on a fallen log, breathing heavily for effect. "Maybe we should turn back," I said. "I'm more tired than I expected." Reese checked his watch. "The best views are just ahead. It would be a shame to miss them." I pulled out my water bottle and took a long drink. While I was drinking, I managed to activate the voice recorder in my jacket pocket. We continued climbing. The trail got narrower, with steep drop-offs on one side. I could feel Reese watching me, measuring my fatigue, calculating distances. When we reached a particularly narrow section with a sheer cliff on the right side, Reese stopped. "Dad, you should see this view. Come closer to the edge." I approached the cliff edge cautiously. Below us was a 200-foot drop onto jagged rocks. "It's beautiful," I said, staying well back from the edge. Reese moved closer. "You can't really see it from there. Come on, don't be afraid." That's when I heard him mutter under his breath, "Just a little push." The voice recorder caught every word. I pretended not to hear him and stepped even further back from the cliff. "Actually, I'm feeling dizzy again. Maybe we should head back." Reese's jaw tightened. "We've come this far." But I was already walking back down the trail. "I'm sorry, son. I'm just not as young as I used to be." He followed reluctantly, and I could feel his frustration radiating like heat. When we reached the parking area, I made my move. "You know what? I forgot something in the car. You go ahead and load your gear." While Reese was distracted, I slipped around to the far side of the parking area and used Tom's satellite communicator to send a message to a ranger station. "2 hikers may need assistance at Bear Hollow Ridge. Recommend welfare check." Then I walked back to our car and waited. "Ready to head home, Dad?" "Actually, I think I'd like to walk around a bit more. Stretch my legs." What I knew was that park rangers would be here within the hour. And Reese's window for accidents was rapidly closing. We drove home in relative silence, Reese staring out the windshield with barely concealed anger. His perfect plan had failed, but mine was just getting started. When we got back to the house, Melissa greeted us like a worried wife. "How was the hike? You both looked tired." "Dad got a little winded," Reese said. "We had to cut it short." I could see the disappointment in both their faces. "Well, I'm glad you're both back safely," Melissa said. "I made a special dinner to celebrate your adventure." The meal she served was the richest yet. Beef stew loaded with salt, garlic bread dripping with butter, and chocolate cake for dessert. "You must be starving after all that exercise," she said. I ate every bite, complimenting her cooking enthusiastically. What they didn't know was that I'd taken an antacid before dinner and had been gradually building up tolerance to high-sodium foods. "This is delicious, Melissa. You've really outdone yourself." She beamed, probably already calculating how much closer this meal brought her to a heart attack. After dinner, I announced that I wanted to cook breakfast for them the next morning. "To thank you for such a wonderful weekend," I said. I was going to cook them breakfast, all right, the same kind of breakfast they'd been serving me. I woke up early Sunday morning and prepared the most artery-clogging meal I could manage. Bacon, sausage, eggs fried in butter, hash browns, buttered toast, and pancakes with extra syrup. "This looks amazing, Dad," Reese said, digging in. "It's no trouble at all. Eat up. You've both been so good to me." They ate everything I put in front of them. Over the following week, I continued my cooking spree. Rich pasta dishes, fried chicken, creamy casseroles, all the foods they'd been feeding me. "Your father's becoming quite the chef," Melissa told Reese one evening. By Thursday, both of them were complaining of headaches and fatigue. "I think I'm coming down with something," Melissa said. "Me too," Reese agreed. "Must be a bug going around." I nodded sympathetically. There's definitely something going around. What was going around was a steady diet of the same unhealthy food they'd been using to slowly kill me. But they were younger and hadn't been building up tolerance like I had. Karma, it turned out, tasted a lot like bacon grease. Friday afternoon, I made an announcement that sent them both into ecstasies of greed. "I've been thinking about that vacation you two have been wanting to take, the trip to Mexico you mentioned." Their eyes lit up like slot machines. "I'd like to pay for it," I continued. "Consider it an early Christmas gift." Melissa actually clapped her hands. "Porter, that's incredibly generous. How much are we talking about?" Reese asked. "Whatever you need. First-class flights, nice hotel, spending money. Let's say $15,000. They booked the trip that same day. A week in Cancun at a luxury resort. What they didn't know was that the money I'd given them was actually a cash advance against Reese's credit cards. I'd called his credit card companies and arranged for maximum cash advances to be deposited into his checking account. The money they were spending wasn't mine. It was debt that would be waiting for them when they got back. "When do you leave?" I asked innocently. "Monday morning," Melissa said. "We'll be gone for a week." Perfect. That would give me plenty of time to prepare their homecoming surprise. The moment their taxi pulled away Monday morning, I went to work. First, I called a locksmith. "I need all the locks changed on my house, today." While he worked, I systematically went through the house, gathering every single item that belonged to Melissa and Reese. Clothes, toiletries, electronics, books, everything went into boxes. Some of it I donated to charity. Some of it I simply threw away. I changed my Wi-Fi password, forwarded their mail to a P.O. box, and had their phone service transferred to their new permanent address in another state. By Thursday, it was like they had never lived in my house at all. Friday evening, I got a call from Tom Henderson. "Porter, someone tried to use those fake transfer papers to claim ownership of your house. The county recorder's office flagged it immediately." "Any idea who it was?" "A woman matching your daughter-in-law's description. She seemed very surprised when they told her the documents were invalid." Melissa was trying to steal my house while they were supposed to be on vacation, but she was about to discover that her keys didn't work anymore. Sunday afternoon, I was reading on my front porch when a taxi pulled up. Reese and Melissa climbed out, loaded down with luggage and looking tanned and relaxed. Reese walked up to the front door and tried his key. It didn't work. Dad, our key isn't working." I set down my book and walked over slowly. "Oh, that's because I changed the locks." Melissa's face went white. "What do you mean, you changed the locks?" I handed Reese a manila folder. "Everything you need to know is in there." His hands shook as he opened it. The first page was a detailed breakdown of every penny they'd spent in Mexico, all charged to his credit cards. "This isn't possible," he whispered. "Page 2, I said helpfully. Page 2 was a copy of the fake transfer document, with a lawyer's note explaining exactly why it was legally meaningless. "You told us the house was ours," Melissa shrieked. "Page 3 is my favorite," I continued. Page 3 was a bill for the Mexican vacation, $23,000 in total charges, all on credit cards in Reese's name. Reese's legs gave out. He sat down hard on my front steps. When did you? The same day I found out about your plan to kill me. Melissa started screaming, actually screaming, right there on my front lawn. You can't do this. We're family. That's our house. Neighbors started peering out their windows. Your house? I asked calmly. I also have some interesting documents here. I pulled out another folder. This contains records of every fraudulent transaction you've attempted. The fake pregnancy scam, the attempted mortgage fraud, the insurance policy you took out without my knowledge. Reese looked up from the credit card bills. Dad, please, we can explain. Oh, I think you've explained quite enough. But I have one more thing to share. I pulled out the voice recorder from our hiking trip and pressed play. Reese's voice filled the air. Just a little push. The color drained from his face. That's attempted murder, I said conversationally. Premeditated attempted murder, to be precise. Melissa stopped screaming. The neighborhood fell silent. Now, I could turn this over to the police. I probably should, but I'm feeling generous today. I looked at both of them for what I knew would be the last time. You have exactly 5 minutes to get off my property. If I ever see either of you again, this recording goes to the police. That evening, I got a phone call from Linda May. She'd been my wife's best friend, and we'd stayed in touch occasionally since Margaret's death. Porter, I heard you had some excitement today. Are you all right? I'm fine, Linda. Better than fine, actually. I was wondering, there's a woodworking class starting next week at the community center. Would you be interested in joining me? Woodworking. I hadn't touched tools since Margaret died. I think I'd like that, I said. We talked for an hour about nothing important. Her garden, my new goldfish, the weather. It felt wonderful to have a conversation with someone who wasn't plotting my death. After I hung up, I sat in my quiet house and realized something amazing. For the first time in 2 years, I felt completely safe. No one was tampering with my food or medications. No one was planning my accidents or forging my documents. No one was pretending to love me while secretly counting my money. I was alone, but I wasn't lonely. There's a difference. I made myself a simple dinner and ate it while watching the sunset through my kitchen window. Tomorrow, I'd start my new life. Maybe I'd take that woodworking class. Maybe I'd travel somewhere. Maybe I'd even get another dog. The possibilities felt endless. 3 weeks later, I was in my workshop when someone knocked on my door. It was Reese. He looked terrible, thin, pale, dark circles under his eyes. The Mexico vacation debt had apparently caught up with him. Dad, he said quietly. Please, I know what we did was wrong, but you're all the family I have left. I stood in my doorway looking at this stranger who shared my DNA. Family, I repeated. You know what family does, Reese? Family protects each other. Family tells the truth. Family doesn't plot murder for insurance money. I never meant for it to go that far. You bought me hiking boots so you could push me off a cliff. You killed my dog. You tried to steal my house. My voice never rose above a conversational tone. And the saddest part is, if you just asked for help, I would have given it to you. He started crying then, ugly, desperate sobs. I'm sorry, Dad, I'm so sorry. I felt nothing watching him cry. No anger, no satisfaction, no pity. Just emptiness where love used to be. You were never really my son, I said finally. You were just a lesson I needed to learn. I closed the door and turned the deadbolt. Later that evening, Linda came over with homemade soup and stayed to watch a movie. We sat on my back porch pointing out constellations and sharing stories about our late spouses. You seem different, she said, happier. I feel like I've been given a second chance at life. And I had. Not the kind of second chance Reese and Melissa had planned for me, but something infinitely better. I'd learned that family isn't about blood. It's about loyalty, honesty, and genuine care. I'd also learned that sometimes the best revenge is simply living well. The stars shone brightly overhead, and for the first time in years, I looked forward to tomorrow.